My name is Denisha McDonald. I am the founder of Our Village Initiative. We are a social impact platform and consulting firm, and we focus on financial empowerment and helping people really get to homeownership as a form of wealth creation. So our first 4 sessions before this one was really the home buying process, understanding your budget and how you can save and how much you need to save to purchase a home. Things that you need to pay attention to with regards to your credit. And then last month, we had a lender come in and discuss the different loan products and down payment assistance programs that are out there right now. And then tonight, we're going to talk about building your real estate team. And what are the questions or some of the questions you should think about when you're interviewing those people to be on your team, right? In this case, you are the boss, right? So you need to make sure that you're picking people who align with your goals and what you want to accomplish. And at the same time, where they can be honest with you, if, maybe your goals may or may not be too realistic, where you're receptive enough to hearing that. And adjusting, okay? So there's a few housekeeping rules. If you guys could just mute your mic. If you have any questions, please place them in the chat. I'll go through the chat at the end and make sure I answer all of your questions. And please participate, ask questions, right? We have not because we ask not. So ask those questions. If I do not know the answer today, I will get them and it will be emailed to you guys so that you are very well informed as you go on this journey, okay? So recap, the primary focus for when you're buying your home, I put it in 7 steps. And it's a little bit different from how others tend to put it because I want the first 2, which is what these past 5 months have been focused on, is knowing your numbers and then building your team. And most of the time is spent in knowing your numbers, because a lot of times people just decide one day, hey, I want to buy a home. But what does that mean? What do you need so that the lender will give you a pre-approval in the amount that you want for the area that you want to live? And that comes by you just understanding the process and knowing your numbers. And then you want to build the team. And that's key because if they are experts in their field, they'll be able to guide you so that steps 3 through 7 should be a breeze, right? If you have a great agent, they're going to help you in terms of viewing homes and submitting offers and make that a snap. Like, it shouldn't be stressful for you. The process of finding the house might be stressful, but once you start going through the actual paperwork and everything, they should be explaining everything to you. You'll get your offer accepted, and at that point you'll have an inspector come in, and they again should identify any issues so that when you move in, you're already aware of anything major that should be coming up and be prepared. After that, you would have, your attorney reviewing the documents and your lender is kind of digging into your finances all along the process to make sure that you can actually afford this home in the end, because they don't want to foreclose on you. Sometimes it feels like it, but that's not their goal, right? They want to make sure you are a solid buyer and that they should see no issues with you. So again, we said we want you, the first step is to figure out your finances. What are the things that lenders are looking for? Well, they're looking for the 3 C's. That's capital. Do you have any money saved? How much money do you have in the bank, or skin in the game, we like to say, towards purchasing a home? We're in an interesting time right now where, depending on your income, there are tons of down payment assistance programs across the state, across the nation, actually. I would say Boston is one of the cities that has the most down payment assistance programs available right now. But making sure that you have some money saved, even if all of your down payment was covered, you're about to be a homeowner, right? So if the toilet breaks, if anything happens, those now become your expense. So I always say you should work towards saving and having a saving plan so that you don't have to worry about those things later. And usually you want to have between 3 and 5% of the purchase price in terms of savings in your bank account when you're thinking of purchasing a home. For credit, they want to see, have you paid your bills on time? Do you have a history of borrowing money and paying it back on time? Lenders want, in most cases, at least a 640 credit score for a lot of the down payment assistance programs out there, and even financing right now, because it's really tough. You can purchase a home with a 580 credit score, which is not a good credit score. So do not be excited if that's you. I would spend the time to improve my score to get a better interest rate. The lower the credit score, the higher the interest rate, which means the harder it is to get a pre-approval. And also, they're not going to pre-approve you for a lot because it's so expensive. Okay. And then finally, capacity. Can you afford the debt, right? Do you have a stable job? How much do you make a year? And can you afford, on top of all of your other expenses, your car loans, your student loans, any personal loans that you have, credit card debt? Can you afford a mortgage on top of all of that? So they're looking at all of your finances to make sure that it's a safe bet to loan you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay. So you are trying to build your team. Who are the people that should be on your team when you're going out there to look for a home? Obviously, we need a lender because they're going to lend you all the money. You need a real estate agent. You need an inspector, and you need an attorney. These are the core members of your team because they should be able to guide you to success if they are chosen correctly. Okay. So when we're looking at a lender or we're trying to select a lender, you want to make sure that they are knowledgeable about the different loan products that are out there, that they are knowledgeable and they have experience within the industry. I don't care so much that it's their first year versus they've been in the business for 50 years. I do care about their company's reputation and the support that they have, because if you're a new loan officer, which is the same thing for an agent, if you have a great team, and you would be interviewing, if they don't have the experience right out, interviewing their team to see if their team has the experience, they'll be able to support them throughout the process and you'll get great service. Okay. Do they have good communication skills? This is important because there are loan officers who they're a little rough when they're speaking to you. So if your personality cannot deal with someone who's very forward, then maybe they're not the best person to work with, because personality also does play a role in things, because what they say, if you're interpreting it the wrong way, it can cause for a difficult transaction. And then also, finally, making sure that they care about your goals, right? If you want to buy a multifamily and they keep pushing you towards a single family, why? Right? And it's not that you say, oh, I want a multi, you don't want to help me, I'm going to find another lender, but try to understand why is it that they're not listening to you in terms of your goal, and listen to their reasoning, right? So that you better understand if it's a good fit or not at that time. When we talk about products, we want to make sure we have lenders who understand the different types of loan products available for what you want to accomplish, right? So if you're trying to buy a multifamily, depending on the situation, one loan product may be better than another for you, right? If you want to buy a condo versus a single family, there are different loan products that give you a little more flexibility, right? If you want to do a VA loan, are you a veteran or are you active duty, right? Do you want to use FHA, conventional, NACA, which is a 0% down program, the one mortgage, or mass housing, right? These are all loan products that are available out there. Does your lender have all of these? Do they have some of these? We're going to talk about interviewing lenders. And if they don't have all of them, that's okay. That's just on you to make sure when you're interviewing that the lenders have an array of products so that you can compare and try to identify which ones work best for you. Okay, so where do you find a lender? You don't know anyone, and you're the first one in your family to buy a home. You have no idea what to do. Well, you can reach out to us. We have a trusted network of connecting and working with lenders and understand the ones who are easy to work with, the ones a little bit more difficult, matching personality types, and the ones who are knowledgeable about the products that may work best for you. I would say you want to use, if you have an agent already, Ask them for a few recommendations. Do they have any preferred lenders? You always want to have 3 people at least that you interview, because you don't necessarily want to go because someone said choose this person, you go directly to them, because the products that they have may not be the products that you need or that's best for you, which is why it's good to interview people, okay? You can check with your bank or credit union and see if they have a mortgage department so that you can get a pre-approval. Some banks and some credit unions, if you are a member, they may provide discounts and incentives for you to use their lenders as opposed to someone else. So you may get more closing cost assistance or more down payment assistance if you use one of their loan officers. And then find a lender from a trusted friend or family. So if you have a family member who purchased a home or a friend, ask them, who did they use and did they enjoy the experience? Was it a good experience? Don't just go with someone saying, yeah, I have a friend who's a lender. You should reach out to this person. Did you use them? What was your experience with them? And if you didn't use them, do you know someone who did use them and what was their experience, right? Because I care less about you knowing a lender or you knowing an agent, because I think in this climate, a lot of us know people who are lenders and agents, right? But I want to know someone who's good, someone who's qualified, and someone who can help me. So you want to make sure that it's, when they're giving you these referrals, it's someone that they have used personally, or they know someone who used them personally. So there's a testimonial, right? There's feedback, there's a review there that you can rely on. Below are some questions. I have 10 questions for you guys that you can ask when you're interviewing lenders, just to help you get a better idea of if it's a good fit or not. So do they issue pre-approvals or pre-qualifications? So a pre-approval is when they do they do your credit check, they collect all of your bank statements, W-2s, all of your information, all of your financials to issue a pre-approval. Pre-qualifications in the past have been where whatever you say is what they base your numbers on and give you a document saying, hey, you can buy a home because you're pre-qualified. If all they're doing is talking to you and they're not collecting your financials to look at it, that's not going to work, because you want real numbers, right? You don't want to go in and put an offer on a home and then find out you're not actually qualified. So you want to make sure you're using lenders who issue pre-approvals, where they collect all of your documents. I think it's a great idea, especially in this climate. Number 2, if you want to stay around a certain number, so let's say your budget is $3,000 for a home, right? In terms of monthly cost, which includes principal, interest, taxes, insurance, your all-in housing cost is $3,000. That's your budget that you're comfortable with. Then ask them for that, right? So knowing, the number I want to stay around, what would you say is an estimated purchase price, so that they work backwards so that you know what your cap is to stay within your budget. So you can ask them for, this is my budget, what's my pre-approval? And then you can ask them also, what's my max, right? So what is the most that I'm pre-approved for? So that now you can compare and see which one works better. Because maybe this is your budget, but you could afford more for the right home and it not be a stretch for you. So you want to look at kind of comparing the two. How often do you communicate with your clients and throughout the process? There are some loan officers who are going to call you every step of the way. There are some who, unless they need something, they're not checking on you to see how the search is going. They may not be very responsive. So that's very important, right? How do they communicate with you? Do they prefer text, email, phone calls? How do you prefer to be communicated with? These are all things that are important, because if you can't answer your phone because you're at a job where you can't step away and they're always calling you, that doesn't really help you, because you're going to miss a lot, right? So you want to make sure you guys are on the same page in terms of communication. On average, how long does it take to close a loan? You want to know if the lender is going to take 60 days, 30 days, 45 days. Why is this important? In the market that we're in right now, a lot of sellers want loans that close quickly. So if you know your bank is going to take a long time, or the lender that you're considering, you may want to review your options, because listing agents, if they are aware of that, they will inform the seller, hey, this bank is going to take a long time to close. I don't know if this is the best buyer for you, because you want it to be you want to be out of the house in 30 or 45 days, but they're going to take 90. right? So that's important to understand what their closing timeline is. What are the different loan products that they have to offer? Last month, we talked about some of the different products and programs available. Definitely review or watch that replay again, so you have an idea of what's out there. So you know if a lender is not sharing information with you because they don't offer that product, right? There are some programs that only certain lenders have access to. So if you went to a lender that doesn't have it, right, they're never going to tell you, hey, you're missing out on $50,000 in down payment assistance because they don't have it, right? So that's why you want to interview people so you can pick the best one for your situation. And also for you to be knowledgeable about some of the programs and products that are available. How many loans of this type have you closed in the past year? You want to know how active they are in that field. If this is their first transaction, is that good or bad, right? Is that something that you want to go through or deal with them? And then do they offer any down payment assistance programs, or are they aware of any? Like I said before, you want to know this because they will only share what they have, because they don't want you to go to another lender because they're not going to get that business. Some lenders are honorable and they're honest and they have integrity. And if they don't have it and they know there's a better program out there for you, they will let you know. But not all of them. I had a friend where the lender did not disclose, he didn't offer a particular program for, he just said, you don't need it, right? They don't have any more funding for this. Meanwhile, like the program was available with a different bank. He just didn't have it, but he didn't want her to go speak with another lender to lose that business. So just understanding that is very important. Are you willing to call the seller? In these times, it's competitive again. We're back to where people are doing bidding wars, they're waiving inspections. So having a lender that's willing to make that phone call for you is really helpful in a time like this. And then finally, are there points on this loan, right? Are they willing to allow you to buy down the points? What does that look like? How much are they charging you in fees? These are all things that are important for you. So you're going through the process, you got your pre-approval. I would say you need to sit down and figure out what is important to you in your home search, right? So what are your negotiables or your non-negotiables? Location, amenities, condition. What are the things that are very important to you? And then also look for opportunity. Are you willing to make compromises where it might be a house that needs work? Because over time, you'll be able to build equity in the home, right? It's not something that needs to be fixed today, right? I could move in today and I can save up and upgrade later on and build that equity. So now we're going to talk about working with an agent. Should you work with an agent? My opinion, yes. Why? Because it does not cost you anything to work with an agent. A buyer's agent is free to you. The seller pays the commission of both the listing agent and the buyer's agent. So the buyer's agent has a fiduciary responsibility to make sure they're acting in your best interest. So why not work with someone who's going to help you make the right decision, pay attention to all the things you should look at when you're reviewing, homes, so that you don't make a mistake. I love the idea of having extra eyes to help me, and especially when it's not costing me any additional fees, right? So I would say, yes, you should use an agent to help you in the process. Their job is to help you in terms of the shopping and providing guidance, reading all of the disclosures and doing research on your behalf. So if there are any questions, they should go back to the listing agent and make sure those things are documented and you have those answers. Again, depending on when they get into the process with you, they're master connectors. Agents usually know attorneys. Agents usually know the good inspectors, the good lenders, the products. So having someone in your corner who can help you is great. There should be great negotiators where they can, again, how do I make your offer stand out compared to the other 15 that are out there? What do I need to do to make your offer stand out? Now we have the sellers considering your offer. What are the things I need to say, and how do I advocate on your behalf so that, again, they accept our offer and our terms as opposed to trying to strip those things away from us? They help with the paperwork and keeping everyone organized. There's a lot of paperwork that happens in the background, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls. It's great to have someone else working for you to help you with that. You want, again, to find an agent. I say go to a trusted network. Make sure you're speaking to people in your community, your friends and family. Who have they used? Not, I have a friend who's an agent, right? If they have a friend who's an agent, who do you know use them and what was their experience? Always, okay? You want to interview agents. And then a lot of people do not want to sign buyer's brokerages agreement. And I look at it this way. The agent is working on your behalf. They are not compensated along the way. The only way they are paid is if they do a great job and get you to the closing table. When you're working with 3 or 4 agents, right, you're making a lot of people run around in that time. And if they know that, are they going to be working in your best interest? Because they're like, well, you might, go with this person and get an offer accepted, and I'm working for you as well, but I'm not going to be compensated. So this is not in my best interest to work with you, right? I like to consider it like a marriage. You want to be committed to this person, which is why you interview them, right? So that you guys have that I'm your ride or die, right? I'm working with you, you're working with me in my best interest so that I can get the house of my dreams or the house that I want. Okay. And understand that these agreements, you can cancel them, right? You can terminate them. If you do not like your experience with your agent, send them an email or a letter. It has to be in writing, just stating, hey, I no longer want to work with you. I'm terminating this contract because XYZ, whatever your reasoning is. It just needs to be in writing. And you can find out from them what their terms are, because there are some agents who may say, if you cancel this contract, there will be a fee, right? So if they're putting a fee on you, you have to decide, is it worth it or not to work with them, right? But most agents, they don't have a fee associated with it. If you give them notice that you no longer want to work with them, as long as it's in writing, you've terminated that contract, you're free to go interview and work with other agents, okay? And then you should spend some time with that person that you committed to create a plan, because there's a lot of strategy involved in real estate, especially right now, because it's so competitive. It's not just go look at a house, submit an offer, it's done. What's the strategy behind it? Okay. So here you guys can take a picture of some of the questions you want to ask your agent to make sure that they're a good fit for you. Right? Not everyone is meant to work with you. Personality does matter. Do you guys get along? The times in which they communicate with you, are they responsive? Do they take all day to get back to you? Do they take 2 days to get back to you? It's a problem, right? Do they listen to your needs and your wants? So if they're showing you things that are outside of what you desire, find out why. And the reason why I say that is because I've had people in the past want to fire their agent because they say, they keep showing me homes in Brockton. I told them I want to live in Boston, so I don't want to work with them anymore. I'm like, well, what is your price point? And then they'll tell me their price point. And then I have to explain, well, it's not your agent's fault that they're sending you homes that may not be in the area that you want. It's more so they're using a system that shows anything that comes up within your price range, right? So if you're pre-approved for, let's say, 300,000 and you want a single family home, you're probably not going to see a lot of those come up in Boston, right? Not because your agent's not working in your best on your behalf, but more so there are no homes in Boston at that price. So understanding when you're not seeing homes that you desire, have that conversation with your agent and be willing to be transparent with them, because they will let you know what they're doing or what they're not doing to help you, okay? I think it's fair to ask an agent why you should hire them, just to see what do they have to offer? What can they do to help you on this journey? Okay. And then look for online reviews. Have other people worked with them and what was their experience? If you have an agent who's been in the business for years and there's no reviews on them, why is that? I would pay attention to that. Okay. And I don't have it on this slide, but it's something I do want you guys to pay attention to, because I've seen this happen as well, where there are buyers who they ask the agent, hey, are you willing to give me a portion of your commission to buy this house? And I say, if you went to work, you did your 40 hours a week at work, and then your boss said, hey, do you mind just taking a pay cut because I gave you the job? how would you feel about that if you know you worked hard? So I say, do not do that. That is rude. But if they offer, that's different, right? Allow someone to offer you that. Do not go in demanding that because it's not required. And I think it's in poor taste. Next, you want to have an experienced attorney, right? You want someone who's not an attorney, a real estate attorney, right? Because you can have someone, almost any attorney, they can work on these transactions because they are an attorney. But if they are not skilled in doing real estate transactions, they may not know all of the laws. They may miss some wording on the contract that was really key and important. They may not be up to date on the laws and miss something. So when you're looking for an attorney, you want a real estate attorney to help you with this, right? If you are buying an affordable deed restricted property, you want an attorney who understands the covenants and the guidelines, who have closed some of these transactions in the past, because the rules and regulations and guidelines look different. The contracts are slightly different. So you want an attorney who's knowledgeable about this so that they can help you and eliminate some of the stress. Because I've seen where people have selected attorneys and the attorney has no idea how to work through this transaction, and they've made it kind of difficult for everyone involved because they're asking for things that are not relevant, or they cannot negotiate certain things with covenants, but they're pressing for these things, but it's because they don't know the process or how it works. So you want an attorney that specializes in your particular area and the products that you're using. So highly recommend real estate attorney. And then if you're buying a deed restricted property, someone who has experience with deed restricted properties, okay? You want to make sure they have good communication skills, again, personality, and they care about your goals. Their job is to advocate for you and to work on your behalf in your best interest, right? So you want to make sure you're interviewing people who are putting you first and who hear your concerns and what's important to you. So along with kind of talking about affordable units, here is a project that is coming to Mattapan. Olmsted Green has right now over 100 units there. They're building their third phase of housing, where these are 2 and 3 bedroom townhomes coming, starting at $275,000. These are affordable deed restricted properties that are under construction now that we're making people aware of, so that if you're interested, you can get your finances in order. You can identify who the lender is that you want to work with. We can make sure that you have the attorney who's knowledgeable about deed restrictions to help you through the process and still qualify for all of the different down payment and closing cost assistance programs that are out there. So again, for a project like this, you want to make sure the members of your team are knowledgeable about affordable deed restricted properties, because it will save you time and frustration in the process when you're dealing with affordable homes. So next, we want to look at an inspector. You want to make sure you pick someone who is knowledgeable about the housing stock, right? And even knowledgeable about the area, because sometimes, you know, there are little unique things for certain areas. In Roxbury, they have pudding stone. So are they aware of all of these unique features when they're doing your inspection around the house to identify issues? Or are there certain types of trees that are native to that area? So you want to make sure that you have an inspector who's knowledgeable, and I would say in this instance, someone who has a lot of experience, because you want someone who can see little things that others may overlook in a house and let you know what's something that is alarming versus something where this is normal, right? Because as first-time home buyers, we may not know if something is a big deal or if it's like, this is normal. This is wear and tear on a house. This is something that will not be an issue, even though it looks like that. But you want an inspector who can explain that to you and help you identify those things, okay? And again, strong reviews is very important in instances like this. Do you have should you have an inspection right now? The market's, again, very competitive. Do you want to have an inspection or not? That's a personal choice for you, and a strategy that you'll discuss with your agent on whether or not you should have an inspection. I am in favor of having an inspection to make sure you're not getting in over your head with a house, because I've seen people who waive the inspection and right after they close, a lot of things went wrong with the house that would have been identified with an inspection. But You can be creative in terms of when you have that inspection, or with a crafty agent, how they word things so you can still have an inspection so that you're not getting in too deep, okay? So this is why choosing the right person for your team is important. So after you've done all of that, right, you are pretty much on your way to being a homeowner, right? You got your offer accepted. The bank said, okay, I think we want to lend you money. That's why you have your pre-approval. Your attorney reviewed all the documents. Your inspector said, this home is good to go. You don't have a lot of work. You should be fine to proceed. No negotiations are needed with the homeowner or the seller. You are on your way. The reason why I put almost there is because they are going to look at your finances again. The lender is going to ask for the same documents that they asked the first time they met you, and probably the third time they met you. They're going to ask for it again to make sure that you are still a qualified buyer, because some people may have lost their jobs, they may have cut back on hours, they may have incurred more debt. So they want to make sure right before you close, like literally 24 hours before you close, that everything, all the boxes still check off so that they can say, yes, we're going to lend you these hundreds of thousands of dollars. So that's where we're looking at step 6 here on the chart. They're going to go over your finances again. And I've had people who have lost their job the morning of closing, where they got that pink slip when they were at the closing table. So this is why the lenders want to make sure you're okay. Please don't get frustrated. They're going to ask for the same documents probably 10 times. Just have it saved to your Google Drive or to a flash drive so that you can submit it to them over and over again, because they're going to ask for it, right? I've warned you, it's going to happen. So just rest assured, this is them just doing their due diligence to make sure everything is okay for you. After they've done that, you're going to do your final walkthrough with your agent. You should not pass on a final walkthrough. You should attend your final walkthrough because you want to make sure the house is in the same condition as when you did your home inspection and nothing else has gone wrong. You want to make sure that there are no issues that have been identified since then. When I was an active agent, I had a client where we did our final walkthrough, and at that walkthrough, the water heater was making that hissing sound, and we saw a little bit of water coming out of it. I'm like, that means that water heater is about to go. So we are not closing until the seller repairs, well, not repair, he had to replace that water heater in order for them to close, right? If you passed on that final walkthrough, you'd have missed that. And if you close on that house, even if that leak started the day before you closed, if you didn't go to that final walkthrough to identify that yourself, once you close, it becomes your problem because it was your responsibility to do that final walkthrough. So do not pass on that final walkthrough, please. Okay, so you've done everything and now you are finally a homeowner. Congratulations. And I would say if you have it in your budget, this is a great time to consider a home warranty, which is, it goes on an annual basis where it covers your systems for 1 year. So if your water heater breaks, your dishwasher breaks, your refrigerator breaks, if anything goes wrong, they will come and they will either repair it or they will replace it. And I think it's a great savings if it's within your budget, because it depends on the program and the company, where it can be $500 up to like $1,400, $1,500 a year for the service. But when you think about the systems in terms of your water heater or your AC or your HVAC, those are very expensive repairs if you don't have the funds. So that's where the huge savings comes in. I've been able to help my mom, speaking personally, where, you know, she didn't have to pay for the hot water heater to be replaced. It broke and they charged her that fee to come out there, that the deductible, $75, and they had to replace it with a brand new water heater. Her AC broke. They had to come in and replace it because it couldn't be repaired, right? That was huge savings for her because she spent that, her plan was $800 for the year, right? She didn't have to pay the $10,000 to get a new AC. She didn't have to spend the $1,500 for the new hot water tank. So just making sure, just a tidbit for you guys on your home ownership journey, it's a great idea if you can afford it within your budget to get or consider a home warranty. Any questions? I'm going to look in the chat and start answering those now. Okay, so someone asked, they didn't know if this was part of a series. I believe this is on YouTube. So if you go under the Boston Public Library, the replays are available on YouTube. And they also email them to you after each session. How do lenders look at co-buyers credit? The average, the lower. Okay, so if you are purchasing a home and you have a co-borrower, so you're buying with someone else, they're going to take the lower of the two credit scores. So whoever has the lowest credit score is the one that they're going to count, because to the bank, that you are the weak link, right? So I want to make sure I'm running everything based on the weakest link to make sure that this loan will work. If one person has an 800 credit score because they pay everything on time, they don't carry a lot of debt every month, and then the second person has, we'll say, a 580 credit score, they've missed payments, they've been in collections, although one person is responsible, what does that mean when you guys have to share responsibility on the house? They want to make sure that everyone is responsible because they're lending you not $50, they're lending you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they're going to go with the weakest link at that time. So you're going to go with whoever has the lowest credit score. Spend the time to improve your credit score. What about those so-called trusted family and friends? Again, you should know who your recommendations are. I don't trust everyone who give me referrals. I have certain people I ask for certain things because I trust them within that. What are the agent interviews? I'll go back to that slide. And then what are deed restricted properties? Can salary amount be a restriction? Yes. So deed restricted properties, these are usually homes where there's a set purchase price, so you can't bid over. So let's say they're offering you the home at 300,000, you can't offer them 400,000 to make your offer more competitive. There's a specific price because they've done the math to make sure people earning at or below certain income tiers qualify. So you need to make at or below a certain income. I believe it just went up. So for a household of one, you need to make less than $107,000 per year to qualify for some of these homes. As long as your income is below that, you qualify. If you are selected, because they're usually lotteries, unless it's a resale, then they offer you the unit, you go through the process and it's yours. There's no bidding wars or anything. Once you are selected in the lottery, as long as your finances work out and your lender says, yes, I'm going to lend you the money, the house is yours. The restrictions there, I should say, the day after you close, you can win the lottery and it doesn't matter, right? You just need to qualify based on income up until you purchase, which is why these are great, because after that, it allows you to stabilize your housing cost. So you don't have to worry about, like rent going up every year. For your mortgage, it's going to stay the same for that 30 years or around the same for that 30 years. And then you can earn as much as you want after that. No one's coming to check on you every year to see if you still qualify. Once you purchased, it's yours, you're done. For deed restricted properties, there's usually a covenant stating they want you to own or occupy it. So they do not want you to move out of the house and turn it into an Airbnb or turn it into rental property, right? These are designed for people who are priced out of the market to have an opportunity to buy a home and stay in whatever town or neighborhood they're in, because it's statewide, so that you can contribute to that community. So they want you to be an owner occupant of those properties. And then usually, because they're selling it to you at a discount, they're not going to allow you to sell it at market rate, a year later. These deed restrictions are usually for about 30 years. You can sell it before that, but usually the covenant is restricted in terms of how much you can sell it for and the owner occupancy requirement for 30 years. They do allow you to gain equity and appreciation in your home. So it does go up in value every year, but it's a set percentage as opposed to what we've seen in the market these past 3 years, right? We've seen people's homes, some of them double in value in the past, during COVID. That would not be the case for these. It's a set percentage. I believe it's between 3 and 6%. They allow it to increase or appreciate annually. So you just have to see what the rules are for those particular properties. And when we talk about the deed restricted properties, for example, there are some right now. You might have a 2-family, because they have them, they're condos, single families, 2 families. They don't make 3-family deed restricted properties anymore, but they do exist from the past. So you get a resale where there was a 2-family for sale for $475,000 in the city of Boston. We all know that is not even the price of a single family in the city of Boston. So being able to purchase a 2-family for that price, when 2 families are usually in the 800s or the high 7s, is a great deal. So that's why they want to maintain the housing stock, and they put those restrictions to ensure that the next person can buy it at an affordable price. Is a home warranty available every year? Yes. So you would have to renew your contract every year for a home warranty. If you own a home now and you have never used a home warranty, you can still purchase one. It just takes 30 days before it's active. So if you didn't purchase it when you purchased your home and you waited a few months or a few years, then you can call the company and say, hey, I would like to purchase a warranty. And they'll say, okay, here's the fee. You pay the fee. And 30 days after that is when it becomes active for you to use. How should one drop a credit card without affecting credit score? Meaning, if one has 3 cards with excellent payment history, how do you cancel without? I would not cancel unless you wanted to explain the situation more. I would not cancel a credit card when you're in the home buying process, because your score is going to drop. There's no way it's not going to take a hit. So you don't want to do that when you're actively going through the, getting a pre-approval. Having that credit impacts your credit utilization, which we talked about in prior sessions, where you want to keep it open so that they can see you have access to a lot of money, right? You might have a card that's $1,000, another card that's $5,000, another card that's $10,000, right? So that's $16,000 of credit access that you have, right? If you're only using $1,000 of that, that looks amazing because they're like, I gave you access to all of this money and you're not using it. Versus if you cancel the cards and now you're only left with the $5,000 card, the percent of what you've used looks like you're not as great at managing your money because you're using a greater percentage of it. Hopefully that makes sense? So if you're actively trying to get a pre-approval, I would not cancel any of my cards. If you have great history, just don't use the card. Or use it for something so it stays active, something that's low cost. So I use my cards to keep them active so that they don't cancel it. I'll pay for gas on the card, or I'll buy gum on the card so that it's active, like they see activity, but it's not where I'm going to get in trouble or be in debt for it. And any other, I think I answered all the questions. I'm going to scroll back up, and there was the agent interview questions. Okay, so the agent interview sheet, I cut them out here. So as opposed to it being one sheet, because it wouldn't fit on a PowerPoint really well because it's long. Here are the interview questions that you would ask an agent, or some of the questions that you can ask an agent to see if it's a good fit. And the goal, again, with an agent is understanding I don't have a problem with using a brand new agent. I could be their first client. I've done that before. It's more so if you are new, right? The benefits of someone who's new is they may not be busy. So they have all of the time to dedicate to making sure they do a phenomenal job with you because they want that great review in the end, right? But what I care about is who's on your team, right? If you are a new agent and your office is not great at sales, they don't have a great reputation, your broker is not available to answer any questions, or you don't have a mentor within your company to answer questions or to help you, or you're not on a team of people who can help you, that concerns me. right? Because that means you're winging everything in our process, and I don't want to be the person you learn on, right? I'd much rather you have a strong team behind you when it's a new agent so that they can help you along the way. And if I have questions, you can get me the answer, as opposed to saying, I don't know, or making something up. I am going back. I think I have answered all of the questions in one way, shape, or form. The slides will be sent afterwards. Okay, I think that is everything. Does anyone have any questions? I would say it's a good idea to go back and watch the replays where we talked about understanding how to budget and how to save to purchase a home, where we did the math, we did the calculations to show you guys, you know, if you're purchasing a home at $400,000, how much do you need to save depending on the different down payment tiers that there are available. Because depending on the loan product that you choose, the amount you need to put down will vary, right? Because there are so many down payment assistance programs available right now, the amount you need will vary. So being able to calculate that so you have a goal is really helpful. Also understanding how much does it cost, right? So if I purchase a home that's $400,000, what is my monthly payment roughly for that, right? So we cover that in our budgeting and saving session. For our credit session, we went over what do lenders look for, what are things that you need to pay attention to, and some strategies that you need to take to make sure you can improve your credit yourself without paying a credit repair company. And if you decide that I don't want to do these things myself, it's too much work, that's okay. There are actual credit repair companies out there who do a good job, where their focus is to help you genuinely, help you improve your credit score. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Again, I encourage you to watch the replays because we went in depth for each session. I didn't want it to be an overview. I wanted you to understand how to navigate the numbers, because people get upset when they talk to a lender and the lender says, you know, you're pre-approved for 300,000. You're like, well, the homes that I want cost 500,000. Why are you pre-approving me for so little? They'll be able to explain it. And when you look at the videos, you'll understand where they got those numbers from as well, okay? And then last month, we had a lender come in and he went over a ton of programs out there, and a lot of down payment assistance programs. And I know there are a couple more that should be launching, I believe, July. So this upcoming month, because we're not in July yet. So perfect. Thank you guys for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to send an email. Happy to answer any questions. We walk you through the process to make sure that you're not going to make a mistake, even if you're working with an agent or a lender and you have questions and you want a non-biased feedback. Feel free to email us or give us a call. Happy to help you guys through the process. My goal is to make sure we have more homeowners, so that you guys are able to build wealth for you and for your family and build strong legacies. So I want to make sure you're not going to lose your house, right? If I see that you are stretched thin, probably going to give you that feedback where it's like, although the bank is telling you this is how much you're pre-approved for, your budget says based on, you know, childcare, student loans, all these things, you probably shouldn't go over this amount, right? The lender's job is to give you the max, right? This is how much you're qualified for. Your job is to look at your finances and see how much is comfortable for you so that you're not house poor. I don't want anyone to be house poor. It's not worth it, right? Because if anything happens, you could lose it. Not worth it. So our goal is to make sure you guys become homeowners, strong homeowners and buyers out there so you make the right decision. So thank you all for joining us this evening, and looking forward to speaking with you and working with you.